Life's Snags and How to Meet Them, in this super book from 1930, a third edition, written by Lord Baden-Powell, the first chief scout of the scouting movement globally. Bit 14. Little straws show which way the wind blows. The following is not a fable, but is what actually happened not long ago. A scientific expedition went to explore the wilds of Central Australia, and after many adventures, the members found themselves in a waterless country in danger of dying of thirst. At the critical moment, they came upon the scene a little native girl who, on seeing their dilemma, led the party along till she came near a large tree, where she gleefully pointed to a string of ants crawling along the ground and up the trunk, entering a small hole in the bark. She plucked a hollow reed, inserted it into the hole, and through this they were enabled to suck water from the rain reservoir formed in the hollow trunk. The moral of this story is that a highly civilized country with as good an education as any may still have something to learn from one of the even least civilized peoples. And on the right-hand page we see a trench illustration from the First World War. And there's a sergeant telling one of the soldiers standing on top of the trench wall in the midst of explosions and the flying of bullets to say, "Come down into the trench this minute." "Not me, Sergeant, there's a blithering wasp down there." And the heading for the image is, "Little things have their importance." The education of the Australian black commences at the hands of his mother with lessons which prepare him for life and not merely for examinations. The greatest delicacy in the menu of the young Aboriginal is a lizard, and just as the civilized mother gives a chocolate to Mary for playing her piano exercises well, the Australian mother shows her child how to earn its own gastronomic reward by tracking a lizard to its lair beneath a stone. Thus, from infancy, the native develops the keenest observation, down to tracking even a spider's footprints in the sand, and also from the sign observed, he learns to read a meaning, as did the girl from the thirsty ants. No doubt those scientific explorers had in their time learned to read and write, were capable mathematicians and classical scholars, were students and possibly masters of botany, geology, physiography and other sciences, but they hadn't the power of observation and its application equal to that of a young low-type savage. Like these savants, I too learned a lesson in observation and deduction from a native when scouting the enemy in Matabeleland many years ago. Early in the morning, riding across an open grass plain, we came on the footmarks of several women proceeding towards some hills about 5 miles distance, where we believed the enemy to be hiding. A leaf was lying about 10 yards off the track. There were no trees near us, but we knew that some of this kind existed in a village 15 miles distant, in the direction from which the tracks led. The sign pointed to these women having come from that village, bringing the leaf with them, and having gone on towards the hills. The leaf was damp and smelt of native beer, so we inferred that they had been carrying pots of native beer, the mouths of these pots being as usual stopped with bunches of leaves. This leaf had fallen out and blown 10 yards off the track, but no wind had been blowing since 5 a.m, and it was now 7. Thus we read the news that a party of women had brought beer during the night from the village for the enemy in the hills, where they would have arrived about 6 o'clock. The men would probably start drinking at once, as the beer goes sour if kept for long, and they would, by the time we could get there, be getting sleepy from its effect. So we should have a favourable opportunity of reconnoitring their position. We acted on our information accordingly and with complete success. This is merely an everyday incident in warfare, but I just quote it to illustrate my meaning of the relation of deduction to observation. I have mentioned separately the different clues by which we reached our conclusions, but the ordinary scout would instantaneously give them their meaning precisely as he would read the meaning of printed words on the page of a book. By practice, natives develop a power of noticing marks which to the unpracticed beginner is little short of marvellous. And though he is good at reading sign which comes within the sphere of his ordinary experience, the white man is superior to him in this direction, especially when he strikes on a new line outside his province. This perhaps is natural, seeing that he has a wider general knowledge and reasoning ability. A party had started out tiger shooting in the jungle in the early morning, led by a tracker and accompanied by a few beaters. Presently tracks of a tiger were seen, but the tracker apparently took no notice of them. The beaters, however, saw their opportunity of taking him down a peg, and one bolder than the rest suggested the shikari should keep his eye open, and that he was not yet awake. Here were fresh pugs of the tiger. The shikari merely said, "Fool, at what hour do the mice go about?" Then they looked closely at the tiger's footmarks and saw that these had been crossed by the tracks of mice. Mice only came out in the dusk of the evening and retired when night came on, so that the pugs were yesterday afternoons and not so fresh as they thought them. It doesn't seem right, somehow, that this science of observation and deduction, which forms a most valuable asset in a man's character, is not as yet included in the school curriculum, except in such schools as have adopted the Boy Scout training. To begin with, it has a great educational value for the boy or girl. Observation develops to a remarkable degree the alertness and efficacy of the senses. By continual practice, the eyesight becomes quickened and strengthened, so also the hearing and sense of smell and touch. Deduction promotes in a still more wonderful way the alertness of the mind through development of reasoning power, imagination, patient research, common sense, and memory. It is a science which has the further benefit of being full of attraction and interest for the youngster, so that once he has been introduced to it, he takes it up with increasing keenness and practices it for himself. The practical value of such education in supplying a new quality in the character of a man is incalculable. No matter what line of life he may elect, whether he takes up law or medicine, exploration or research, business or soldiering, or what you will. It is essential, too, to him, if he would gain knowledge of material facts, or if he would read the character or feelings of other men, if he would enjoy the many little pleasures that nature can give him, and indeed, if he would make full use of the talents which God has given him.